Yeah, I have prepared basically some of my materials, okay, to demonstrate, okay. So let us look into what Alvin are going to be give you some other example here. Alvin, take a look back again, the right leg, okay, of the front back leg of those animals there. You see the line is really well, okay, to see the proportions and the line basically have been divided from those legs there, right? Huh? Don't just simply draw something like that because people get confused, okay, which is the right leg, or they can combine those legs together there, right?
How to draw, sir?
How to draw there, okay? Take a look at my sample just now there, right? How actually I draw them just now.
Uh,
Hmm. Look carefully to your reference, to your photos there. The problem that we have normally there, okay, people there, okay, they don't actually look carefully to your reference. You just simply draw them. All right. See where the attachment between the right leg and the front leg and the back leg there, okay? The back leg there, okay? The positions there, okay? The positions there. Look carefully there, okay? Look the position there, right? Okay, between these two legs, okay? These two legs there, okay? These two hands there, okay? Which is the right, the front, the back there, okay? So you don't easily combine the line over together there, okay?
mm,
Okay, can you see the back leg over here? Where the line are going to be formed to combine basically the front leg and also the back leg together there, okay? To show the distance, the depths.
this one, sir, the back one.
The back there, okay? The back leg, not the front leg there, right? Just now when you draw there, okay, the back leg, okay, they combine together there, okay, just like they chat already there, okay, the legs there. See? At the bottoms over here, in the middle there, okay, on the connections. If you see, if you saw my screen over here, my cursor there, right, that I show it to you right now. Where is it? Your drawings there. Okay, you saw basically, okay, my cursor there, right? Can you see there, okay? This one, this one. How I actually move my cursor there, right? This part there, right? This part there. See?
Yes.
This part is wrong already, right? They should combine the line all together to the side. Not leave the gap over here. If you leave the gap over here, what happens to the legs there, right? You see the chat leg there, right? You understand, right? How it works here.
Yes,
Hmm.
sir.
Now improve them back here, the drawings over here. And then continue them, okay? I think the line works had to be improved, but have been improved, okay? The line work, your line works. But the understanding there to create the right kind of distance proportions has to be a little bit more alert and aware there, okay? You have to create your awareness when you draw them, okay?
Okay, sir.
Improve that, right? And continue the whole thing there.
Sir,
Yes,
may I ask about something like the measurement?
okay.
May I share the screen? Yeah.
All right, Alvin, right? Let what we call that. Ming Hao actually share screen there.
Uh, all right. Sir, can you see it?
Yes.
Basically, I will like cut the head like six square, I guess. One, two, three, four, five, six.
Mm-hmm.
After that, I will just like cut three,
Mm-hmm.
three. What? This is one, and this is two.
Okay,
So
from
this
this.
is the eyebrow
Mm-hmm.
and the nose.
Okay.
After that, the nose I will like draw another straight line from here.
The center point there, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. After that, the V shape for the eyes end here to get here.
Yeah, you can apply that, right? You can apply this kind of methods also. If you're not basically too complicated for you to understand it, right? Okay. It can be there, guys, okay? You guys can combine also together whatever they actually have show you guys and also the thing that Ming Hao actually showed there, okay? As long you don't actually make complicated on your understanding from there, all right?
Right.
But basically, this is the main ideas how actually you're going to measure them back later on when you want to draw your own kind of characters there, right? Okay? That's basically the most important thing, not because the measurement, whether whatever Ming Hao actually suggests, basically is right, okay? They can use that. But I didn't go into deep because I had to show you guys before this basically how actually I'm going to work with the circle line. They construct the skull there first and also the V shape to draw basically the jaw line. You need to combine all this information all together there. Whatever that Ming Hao actually have done, good. Okay, he actually tried to combine all together to work on those understanding there. But whenever that you're going to develop another drawings there, okay, they can apply the same methods and then you can improve it more further on your understanding when you draw other subject matters there, okay? So please make sure you alert, always be alert and aware, okay? Just like what Alvin just showed us just now, okay? If we don't actually write,
All right.
observe things really well. This is all about the observations here. They will not give you any kind of values there, even though we actually give you guys a lot of information of technical kind of advice. But if you don't actually write, practice, draw, and create some awareness on your understanding, especially on your observations, nothing that actually have been shown you guys will give benefit, okay, if you don't apply them a lot, when you don't practice a lot, okay? So right now, what Ming Hao actually tried to draw is hairline, okay? Why don't you actually draw the whole thing there first before you study the whole hairline, okay? And also don't try to skip some of the shadow line that apply from those hair. That's basically how actually we draw them, we develop the shape itself, right? How you draw those items, Ming Hao, and the nose? In details, I want to see that.
Eyes and nose, huh? Right. Wait a second.
Eyes, nose, lips, there, right? You can reduce the line works or the structures works there. You draw on top of the layer there, right? The layers of your measurement there, right?
Yep.
Up to you there, right, Amber? You want to draw, sketch first, study the basic structures, and then if you want to add some details, good there, right? Okay. Please try to learn to decide also at the same time there, right? Okay. Please learn to decide also, okay, which basically the more suitable for you to develop your kind of submissions there, because you have around 2 weeks there, okay. This week you can submit first the sketch line if you want to study a bit more further on your structures. Next week you draw all those details, just like the same kind of project one there, right? Okay, that we have done before. But one of the most important thing that I want to see from here, how actually you develop the right kind of strokes here, right? I think that's what actually Alvin tried to do here, what we call that Ming Hao tries to do right now there, right? So Alvin, you can take notes also on your friends, how actually he actually developed that kind of understanding. At the same times, when you want to deliver basically the right kind of strokes. Okay? See how actually Alvin move your hands, the strokes, cursor line at the same time and control the pressures there. What brush do you use right now there, right? I mean, how pencil brush, right?
The pencil you gave me, like you using it the clear hard pencil.
I did not.
Hard mix.
I did not give you this one there, right? I did
Yeah,
not give you
but
this brush, right?
you
I
show
just
it at a
right?
class.
Yeah, I didn't give anyone there, right? I just show basically based on the folder. All right, good. You draw those nose, lips, there, okay, the detail of those eyes, the pupil, the iris. Okay, look carefully to the reference at the same time, okay? Whatever that we do right now there, right? It's all about practicing our observations all over again, but different kind of techniques and methods, okay? Why don't you draw basically the iris, the pupil inside there, right? Huh? using the line strokes there first before you add some shadings there.
All right.
Okay. Look carefully to those reference all the time there, okay? Look inside those detailing, how to add those kind of detailing there. That's what I said, okay? Learn carefully from what I actually have been demonstrated to you guys there before. I'm using the same kind of methods and techniques to show you guys. The only difference is basically the reference that we use there to works. Okay. Good there, right? Okay. Are you sure? The shapes look like that? All right. Look carefully, okay, to those reference and then improvise from there. Draw the shape there. Why the size is too small there, right? You can actually maintain the same size but control the pressures at the same time. Maintain the size of those brushes and then you just draw the shapes of the circles there, okay, that apply from those pupils there, right? All right, good. Because if you directly follow the whole thing, sometimes it works, but for the newcomers, sometimes it won't work there, right? So you must use also your logic at the same time. Are you sure you draw those kind of etchings, kind of line like that? Right. Sometimes we can use those references and we improvise them back. We not purely imagine the whole thing, right? Okay? Sometimes they're okay. So you must be able to balance that up. Because when you imagine, sometimes you hesitate there, okay? But you actually refer and also using your logic of understanding, which is I actually have shown you guys there before a lot there, okay? Then you easy for you to gather all these kind of informations back again to apply back again on your drawings. Later on, I'm going to show you guys back again how actually I do those kind of works there, okay? To draw those eyes, simply draw those eyes there, okay? But people don't actually always take for granted how actually I work on that. I don't know why. Because I show you guys one of the easiest way to draw and shade those eyes there. And still look what we call that details and promising and have that kind of understanding on shadings at the same time, right? But people don't actually look at it to learn the methods and then improvise them. It's okay, work on that. You're doing great, How? Just need less hesitated, right? And experience that to develop that kind of understanding. Each drawing that you're going to draw. Because we don't have basically that kind of privilege to draw or to learn each week's different kind of what we call that a specific subject matters or element only there, right? Okay? I have to mix them up because I don't want to waste a lot of time basically that you might not going to get enough kind of information there. By right, okay, we have to do, okay, this week draw eyes only, and then another week draw nose, and then draw lips only there, okay, to give more kind of a deep kind of understanding. But I don't think that we have that kind of time that works on that. That's why I mix them all around there, okay, to develop the whole kind of what we call that projects and exercise together there. Okay, good there, okay, continue then. Okay, when you draw the eyelid, don't draw the whole eyelids there, right? Okay, draw the suggestions line for the eyelids there, right? You can basically close the structures line first, right? Okay, and look back again how to draw the nose there, right? Using those reference, right? Mm. We don't draw the nose trail look a little bit more bigger there, okay? Those line is right there, okay? You start with the middle kind of line there first. You can actually apply from there. I would say basically those structures line doesn't actually help you much there, right? Huh?
Yeah, true.
I mean, how? All right, can you see that?
Yeah.
Okay, increase a little bit the what we call that. Increase a little bit more further on your opacity, on your reference, and then you draw back again. Then you hesitate there, right? Huh?
All right.
All right, increase a little bit. See there, right? Okay, how actually we going to start there, right? I know basically, right? Okay, every single human nose has a different kind of patterns, but the flows are basically the patterns the same, okay, but the type of the nose are going to be different. The patterns of how actually you develop that kind of drawings is almost the same. You just have to be careful you don't actually draw the middle kind of parts basically a bit more longer or shorter there, okay, because they will affect it basically the quality, the value of those faces there. And even though when you actually draw the shadings for those nose trails, be careful with it. Don't shade too much on those dark tones because they're going to give a bit kind of different kind of point of view on those perspective and the proportions of those nose. That's why, guys, the structures that we develop basically to guide us there, okay? And of course, okay, the guideline and also the understanding on observations have to be combined all together there, guys, okay? It doesn't mean that the structures that you try to apply sometimes will be helped, okay? If you don't basically develop your improvement on your observations kind of methods or techniques, which is you have to look things carefully when you grow. All right. Same goes to you, Elvin. There, right? Always look at the reference there. Okay, I want to take a look at this reference whether basically have that kind of issue. Okay, I don't think they have the issues on that. Okay, because I can see clearly on the shadows itself, on the strokes itself. There, right? I've been using this reference for quite some times. It's just like I'm fall in love with this reference photos, not the person itself. You can see clearly right through that. I think you have to turn over your opacity around 80% or 84%. Maybe you can see more clear there, right? From there. Guys, okay, remember, guys, this kind of training has to be developed frequently. Don't just do it once in a while, there, right? Okay. Then you can see more clear there, right? Okay, how it works. I'm going to take some hot waters there, okay? So continue those work, share your screen.
Hiya.
Remember, okay, don't color the whole thing there, okay? Shades them. Don't color them, okay? Shades them, okay? Ming Hao.
Yeah.
Your line quite good there, okay? So Alvin, you can learn also from Ming Hao. Actually, he actually developed the strokes and line, but don't color the pupil too much dark tone first, right? Okay. Always leave some of the light of shadings there, but have that kind of contrast of opacities there, right? Okay. Because
Right.
easy for you to control later on, unless you actually have been comfortable with the techniques there, okay? Then you actually can always improvise basically back again your drawings, right? Okay. whenever that you want to, what we call that, repair some of the shadings there. If you don't have that kind of felt of a comfortable kind of what we call that methods, right? Yet, don't shade too much dark tone there first. Leave some of the level opacity of shadings during the process of working, okay? So don't draw the eyelid like that. I don't apply those kind of eyelid there, especially on the bottom there, okay? Draw basically the line structure that form basically that kind of what we call that. That's kind of what we call that below the eyelid, the kind of line there, right? Okay. You can maintain there, okay, on the top there, okay. The top you can maintain there, okay. Only on the bottom there, okay. You can actually try to reduce them. Sometimes it doesn't have to be appointed as a part of eyelid there, right? But the top you can maintain, okay, because you want to show basically the feminine side of these drawings there, okay. That's why we use those eyelid there, right? So far, the drawing stroke were there, okay. You have that kind of drawing stroke, that means how, but only maybe you lack of practice only, okay. If you practice a bit more further, draw frequently, okay. Draw your friend, families, girlfriend, whatever that you have, okay, and then practice a bit more further from there. So to answer back again, Amber cannot record the questions. Okay, for the second time there, right?
So I will stop presenting.
Why? You haven't finished the eyebrows, the nose, the lips. So I can see a bit more further from there to understand it, right? So we can basically, right, you can combine all this kind of what we call the detailing together and murder, okay? You can draw the structure first to understand, okay? Because whatever that you're going to do for this week kind of and next week's kind of what we call the summations, you look back into what kind of informations that you gain to develop your understanding there. Not just to submit, okay, we can draw structures only for this week, so you force yourself to draw structures there. But what basically the value that you gain from there? Do you understand what you're doing there right now or not? Do you actually improve your drawing skills or not? That's the thing that you have to answer back again. Those questions during the process of your kind of experience that you develop those kind of drawings there, right? Right now you saw there, okay, that how even though he actually had the right kind of strokes there to develop his skills, but he's still struggling to develop that kind of stroke for those eyebrow there, okay? You can see basically, okay, most people have that kind of advantage and also what we call that weakness there, okay, that you, each one of you guys need to basically to overcome that, okay, by working and practice a lot there, okay, and doing the right way, okay? Continue them there. At the 3 minutes, I'm going to show a bit kind of demonstration back again. Hopefully, you guys will focus and also take for what we call that, pay more attention to that. what I actually told you before there, okay? Don't combine the lower lips and upper lips kind of line together with a line, with a mouth line there, right? This is basically also something that you guys always forgot, right? Huh? I didn't combine them all together then. That you guys not basically take notes from there. Right? Draw the line lips there first. Okay, the mouth line there first, and then you draw the upper lips and lower lips there, okay? Simple as that, but don't combine those lines all together there. Because they look a bit like a fake, and you paste those line, those kind of lips into those face, onto those face. All right. Okay, let me share my screen over here. You guys can see my screen there, right? So of course, okay, when you align all this kind of line all together there, okay, you develop basically kind of understanding there, okay? And of course, okay, I always apply this kind of triangle kind of shape there, okay? Either from this side or to this side there, okay? To develop basically the position of the nose there. And the circle that apply, all right, the structures of those nose also really important to develop that kind of understanding here. See, all right, because how actually I'm going to cut these areas there, right? Okay. When I want to draw back again, take a look here, right? This is basically that how actually I draw things, the shapes of it. See, so to take a look at closer look how actually going to be applied here, there, right? What I can do from here, there, right? If you take closely there, okay, closer look there, right? I'm going to start to this side, okay. See this kind of part, okay. This is basically the end point of the nose from those center point there. So what I'm going to do there, guys, okay, I'm going to draw this part there first. Look carefully to your reference there, guys, all the time. See? This part there first. Okay. Now, I'm going to go through with this kind of line sometime that it can be applied from there. And I render a little bit there, okay, the shadings there for the shadows there, okay, that show basically the nose trail. And then this part basically that you show basically the circle there, okay, small circle that applied from there. See, I'm going to draw the line works there, okay. You see that, right, Ming Hao? And the rest of you guys?
Yeah.
How long does it take there? Because look carefully to those. I didn't draw this kind of line altogether. Sometimes I just using basically this kind of shadings there. It works on that. Same goes to this part basically, okay. This kind of shadows that apply from there. We can actually add some shadings from here to show basically the structures of the nose. Okay, the lips just now that you draw. Can you see that how actually I draw them there, right? Take a look carefully there, right? See? Am I combine them all together? No, they're right. That's how it goes. Yeah. Mix them up with those shadings at the same time. That's what I said, okay? This is not purely tracing there, okay? But if you look carefully, you will get basically the answers right, okay? Same goes to this side over here. This one there basically, okay? I'm pressing a little bit more detailed, okay, on the shadings from here. Why? Because I want to have that kind of, what we call that, a distance that I showed there, okay? This basically, I want to show basically this is a front areas, okay, of the human face, rather than this one also basically it's a very thick kind of line works that can be applied from there. And now basically the pupil that I want to draw right here, that see that, right? I saw basically the shapes that actually been formed right here. So how actually I'm going to work on that? I'm going to add some shadings a little bit, and I'm going to shade according to the shadows that being how. Can you see that, right? So I'm showing you guys basically how actually to draw those eyes is the most simplest way, but they have the effective kind of results there. To add some of the details from here, see? Same goes to the side there, right? It has to be the same there, okay? Positions. There. Otherwise, they look a bit kind of like twisted there, okay? Those eyes. There. Look carefully how actually I draw them there, right? How actually I move my hand basically to draw those eyebrows, the hairline, the strokes at the same time there, right? And we'll have the natural kind of looks of the person that we want to draw. See? Okay, sometimes you can actually add some etchings over here, shadings. Not too much there, right? Okay, to work on that. See? Guys? And when I try to draw the strokes here first, okay? How actually I press the line works. Why actually I press the line works over here? Okay, I press the stroke because they actually, right, show basically the shadows line there, right? But not all the times it works on that. See? So this part basically has a shadows line there, right? So what I'm going to do for the sketch line, just like Emily said, okay, the sketch line, I combine in the thickness line that show the depths, the front view of this hair, and the thick thin line to show basically the depth, to show the distance there between the line itself. Okay, between the line itself, right? So I press and release the shapes over here, the strokes over here. But this kind of line, I'm going to increase a little bit this, the pressure there, okay? But still show the smoother kind of looks of my strokes. See? Show the smoother of my strokes there, right? So all this exercise basically, okay, it contains basically your understanding how actually you're going to control back again your line at the same time here. This line I'm going to be thin a little bit, okay, to show the distance between front view from those jaw line and also the what we call that back kind of elements there, okay, to show some sort of distance there. If I close, you see the results over here. Before we're going to add some shadings later on, okay, maybe next week, okay, to work on that. And of course, from here there, right, if you look carefully there, okay, the measurements, the arrangement, can I see, can you guys see basically how actually I draw basically those skull there, okay, that I try to manipulate there, okay, that show basically the arrangements, the alignment between those faces there. Same thing there, guys, okay, same thing, okay. All this method that we try to apply were basically to show you guys the alignment and the measurement at the same time here. Okay, from those reference, okay, how actually you're going to conduct basically some alignment there, okay, when we draw them, and at the same time, it gives me basically, for me basically personally, okay, to show a bit more like more entire presentations, okay, the good kind of presentation to you guys there. Even though you can see the jawline over here, right? The jawline over here. The jawline over here, okay, basically, right? This part basically a little bit more longer, okay, to this side. Yeah. So this one basically, right, are going to be right here. Right, okay, there. This is basically the skull that actually right inside those human face there, right? Human head there, right? Okay? From this, right? The structures itself there. So to understand basically the alignment at the same time there, okay? This is basically the technologists can give you guys those kind of more further kind of studies there before you're going to add a bit more kind of details there. Okay? You need to understand the whole things, how it actually going to be worked. The shadows basically have been formed from here there, okay? Basically came from the structures of those skulls there, okay? So the structures of the skulls there. That's why when you actually develop basically that kind of shadows, they basically been affected from those skulls kind of structures there. And not only from the light and shadows at the same time, okay? The shadings there, okay? This part basically are going to be a bit more bigger. This one are going to be a bit right here. There, right, okay? The hole there, okay? They actually put those kind of eyeball inside there, right, okay? So this is basically some logic things there, guys, okay? That actually, appear basically in our studies there, that people don't concern too much there, right, okay? When they want to draw them, they don't concern them too much there, right? Because they thought basically what they see in the finished products, basically those are the things that you want to apply. But you don't actually understand and to develop that kind of understanding from the different kind of perspective there, a little bit kind of details there, because they always look into you guys who have been fascinated with the sorry to say that, okay, the end product of most of those design works there, right? That's why you're not basically ready enough to understand about the whole structures are going to be works, okay, somehow, all right? The line work at the same time, the shadings there, okay, that we apply from here. Okay, you don't actually have that kind of concern there, right? Because your world basically is all based on the end products there, okay? Whatever that you draw basically, okay, will base from what you see from the from the animations there, from the books, Googles there, okay? You don't study directly, but this one basically that I want to give you guys some examples there. Can you see how actually I shade this now? The shadings there, right? Well, basically came from the skeleton, the skulls there, okay? What we call that, unfortunately there, okay? What I actually write, when I actually write, find this kind of reference, all right? The shadows will fall off in the same directions there, okay? From those references that we have. That's why it's quite very useful there for me to develop that kind of understanding there, okay? The shadows being fall off from there. Those are the great thing there, okay? When we actually study the shape and structures at the same times over here. All right, if you have that kind of good understanding, can always be concerned there, guys. Okay, always be concerned there, okay, and aware, okay, about the what we call that, the type of studies that you're going to apply from each drawings there at the same time. You see, if I want to draw basically the hairline over here, there, right? It's all about practicing back again your kind of understanding when you draw this. It's not all about just to draw and trace them all the times, okay? We study the shapes of those hairline, and then we draw them back. Okay, we draw them back there, right? Okay, draw the shadows line at the same times to work on those structures, all right? Right here, basically, okay, if you check look closely, okay, the bone skeleton and structures of those, what we call that spine there, okay, are going to be right here. Generally there, right? Okay? These are going to be the what we call that the collar neck there, okay, bone there, right? Okay, from there they're going to be our what we call that shoulders, kind of what we call the skulls there, from there, right? Okay, so all these kind of formations, you're not going to be have that kind of informative kind of understanding there if I don't show you guys how it works there, okay? But to capture all this kind of detail takes times, but I need to show you guys there basically where basically my resources is, okay, and how far basically I have been studying all these kind of structures that we start to develop kind of understanding here. But of course, when you go back into the overall kind of methods, it all came from, check look here there, right? When you draw them back there, right? We draw basically what kind of circle before? Right? This kind of circles there, right? Sketch line circle that define basically the structures over here, the center point, all right? Square line there, right? Even though we can draw more than the square line, right? I'm going to draw the square line here and the triangle itself back again, all right? The neck bone structures there, okay? Okay. Still in this, remember that? Triangle shapes that mix up all together here. All these kind of elements basically really important that you work on that, okay? The shapes of the ears from this side and this side, if you don't have that kind of understanding there, how actually you're going to imagine them, right? The shapes of it, back again. the whole shapes of those hair. Study them back there, right? So every single head, there's a line works that actually can divide between two heads there, right? Between one head there, right? And then study the head structures and the hair structures at the same time here, right? This is what basically when you draw anime and manga, okay, they actually have divide all these elements all together there. Okay, whether you basically been analyzing or not, okay, they have divide all these elements all together there, guys. Okay, all these kind of foundation all together, guys. I guess to work on that. Okay, because when it comes to draw basically your own characters, for example, there, okay, simple kind of shapes over here. Okay, triangle shapes. How actually you're going to define those eyes, the nose, the lips later on. All right, basically the eyebrows over here. So the shapes of the ears are going to be right here, there, right? If you want to imagine back again, the structures there, and how are you going to divide them? Divide them, okay, between the eyes. Okay, just now basically you say basically the nose are going to be right here. How actually going to divide them there? Okay, the triangle shapes that apply from the structures here. The lips line that apply from here, there, okay, the lips line. They mix up with the eyes. So all these kind of informations that you try to apply there, okay, on your works from these developments, okay, they will bring over to this kind of lessons later on. But of course, we don't actually apply the whole things, but we're going to try to analyze them back by drawing the whole structures here. See? How actually I'm going to imagine it, right? The shapes of the lips, the nose, the lips. Because this is basically the test, okay, later on. Not basically for our lessons there, but you are going to will have this kind of what we call that test on your own there, okay? Maybe later on when you want to draw your own characters there, you will be tested with this kind of methods there. You will test it, okay? Even though when you want to draw basically some human portrait there, okay, for any kind of clients kind of works there, for example, there, right? All this kind of guideline that I actually try to apply and information that I actually get from my kind of what we call that reference just now, this one there, right? How actually I draw those hairline there here. From this is a skull. Okay, the hairlines came from this side over here, there, right? See? See? I will draw basically my own kind of what we call that character base on the reference. See? Right. If you ask you guys, if you ask yourself back again, can you actually draw like this one there, right? Without a reference? We not actually try to draw the portrait there, but I mixed up all together, portrait, cartoon, styles, and own characters at the same time. At the same time there, right? Okay? Because we study there back again all the structures here, not just to complete those assignments or drawings there, okay? But we want to gain those information and understanding at the same time. We want to develop that kind of understanding there, guys. It's not all about how many drawings, what kind of sketch line that you want to draw only. Okay, is it we have to submit those kind of drawing in sketch or in structures only for this week, right? All that kind of questions will lame there, right? Okay? The thing is that you have to answer the question back again do I actually apply some understanding and value on this exercise or not? Based from what I have demonstrated to you guys over here. Okay? That's basically the questions that you have to answer back again. Question there, okay? Why actually develop a kind of understanding from there? Just now when actually write like Mingwai there, okay? I think we actually try to draw, okay? The stroke is nice there, okay? But the thing is, whether you actually have understand enough to draw the structures really well here, right? Have you actually done, basically you actually have done the right kind of understanding there, okay, to draw those structures there, okay, the strokes and the shadows right here, there, how actually I draw them. I cannot draw basically Adam apples there, otherwise they're going to be look like a man there, right, okay? So what I'm going to do right now, okay, if I want to complete this kind of drawings there first, there, and I'm going to refine them later on. Okay, what I can do from here, I can add some shadings there, okay? So I have to close a little bit there, right, on those. Okay, wait, I'll save the files there first. My computer is suddenly hang there, right? Okay. So little my computer hangs there, right? Okay, now. So put it over here back again. Adjust the flow and shadings, all right? And what I can do right here, right now, there, okay? So I'm going to close some of the line works first. Okay. There, okay, and go through back again, okay, all this kind of what I say basically the okay, shadings, I'm shading in the same kind of layers there, right? So I guess I have to basically live with that kind of mistakes there, right? Huh? So now basically if I want to shade back again as a reference from the reference there, right? Can you see there, okay? How actually I adjust the flows there. And also adjust the size, the areas that I actually have put a part of those shadings, okay? That's my studies there, okay, on that kind of drawings over here. Change the size to add some shadows line there, okay? According to the shapes of the shadows from those reference that we saw from here there, see? Slowly work on that. This part basically. A bit kind of what we call it tones over here. And also right here there. So all this kind of detailing there, okay, that we try to apply, but based on our understanding on observations, we go back again to those reference there. Okay. How actually apply them back there, okay? Slowly control the pressures at the same time, the right edge works on that. On this side there, right, that I saw just now, try to imagine the whole time there, right? Slowly work on that, okay? Because one of the things there, guys, okay, you have to remember, okay, the shadows kind of brushes that I actually introduced to you guys over here. It's basically a foundation brushes there, okay? It's very basic brushes that actually help you to control a bit more further on your kind of understanding to create your kind of pressure strokes. So from here, okay, just now, I didn't actually press too much on the shadings, on the detail there, right? So what I can do right here, I using the shadings there, okay, to apply the shadows there for those eyes there, see? So we can see a lot of detailing from here, back again. See? But not too much, but still look promising there, right? This part basically just now, press a little bit more further. Look at the reference there. Look back again. Okay, even though you're not actually using this reference, right? Using another pictures there, right? I just wanted to show you guys how actually I conducted basically my understanding to work on those kind of what we call that shadings and illustrate at the same time there. One of the reason I paint basically the what we call that the lips right here, because I want to make the lips a little bit more contrast than the skin tone. Okay. Yeah. Right. And then I can use white colors or erasers. Right, erasers there. I'm going to reduce the flow to add basically some sort of light and highlights there, right? See? And they become a bit more shiny there, right? And the flow is too low. There. See? And I put some shinies on that, right? See? Simple kind of what we call that solutions there, okay? To works for erasers, but not basically erase our drawings there, right? But and add a bit more kind of shadings. All right. Add some highlights at the same time here. Okay. Not look sloppy there, right? It looks naturally, become it more realistic as what you actually have been, you want to apply there, okay, on your kind of exercise and your drawing at the same. Okay, so now if I'm using the lasso tool, okay, for some of you guys actually have used lasso tool before, okay, to work on those kind of hairline and strokes. Okay, I want to show you guys basically some of the one of the methods basically I also use a lot there, okay, when it comes to develop basically my kind of illustrations there, using this kind of digital kind of tools there, right? But if you look right now closely, when I actually want to draw the shapes, I actually literally actually basically in details, I basically using the shapes to apply for those hairline there, okay? I'm not just simply draw those shapes only, just to trace them, but I draw the shapes of those hair from these tools. Okay, from these tools there, right? And of course, okay, when I actually use this kind of tools there, right, I did not basically entirely use what we call that tracing the shadows only there, okay, but I try to basically apply the shadows and shapes there, right, okay, at the same time, okay, apply the shapes and shadows at the same time. Okay. Now, if I use the same brushes to work on that, I'm going to paint not purely dark there, okay, but I'm going to use some suggestions, kind of shadings there, what we call a tone, to apply first, okay, for my hairline there, okay, for my hairline on those structures here. Okay, if you look closely there, okay, the shadows are going to be fall off something a little bit more like this. They become a styles at the same time there, right? Okay. Shadows there. From here you can see the dark tone there, right? Not too much there first, guys. This area basically can actually cover the whole thing back again. This one basically I didn't actually select fully there, okay? But don't too much there, okay? Because sometimes it's a little bit more like fake kind of what we call that shadows there. So from here, either I can use those drawing line to work on that. But if I want to use some shadows line and highlight that, okay, you can see some highlight over there, right? So what I can see, why I can suggest that, right? I'm using alternate, right, brushes. Right, can you guys see here? Actually, I cut those kind of line works from there, the shadings there, right? See, this one basically are not going to be affected there, but I'm going to add some of the details right here first. Okay, some of the areas over here, I'm going to leave a little bit kind of like highlight there, right? This one basically some of the techniques that I can introduce to you guys, but it's not recommended for the beginners to use them all the times. You have to remember that, right? Because this method is a little bit kind of advanced, okay, for some people's there. So I'm not recommending you guys to use them all the time that you works. If you're not actually understanding it, okay, it's good for you to basically study back again those kind of how to draw the stroke first, right? Okay? Add some more detail from there. Copy paste there. You see, just like a vector-based styles there, right? Just like a vector-based styles, they're using those AI that works on that kind of drawings here. But it can be using also in some of the time that you work with your kind of shading and shadows there. But I'm not actually recommending you guys to use all this kind of what we call that drawing stroke all together. What we call that all the way if you don't basically have a good understanding to draw basically those kind of line works like this there. See? All right. This is basically one of the what we call that techniques that you guys can actually apply when you want to draw say hairlines, and then what we call the shadings kind of lines, where basically it's a part of those. Sorry, there, right? If you have this kind of understanding to draw this kind of line works there, right? Whatever that you're going to do for those shadings later on, it will give a supporting kind of what we call that elements, okay, on the detailings of the hair, because draw the hair sometimes is a bit kind of complicated, right? So you have to spend a lot of times to develop basically the right kind of what we call that skills there, okay, to move your hands according to the hairlines there. Can you see there, okay, how actually I draw them? I have a multiple kind of what we call that strokes over here that have a different kind of pressure at the same time there, okay? You guys can see that, right? So I control basically my strokes at the same times, but looks like I'm scribbling them, but it's not. Because this part basically is not hair. It's a shadows line, but it has some small kind of what we call that little kind of what we call that hair kind of what we call that patterns from here. Because this woman basically she has basically some sort of like a African kind of what we call that hair basically kind of formed like she basically straightened her hair, because her original kind of hair, I believe, basically is a curly kind of what we call that line kind of what we call that hairstyles there, right? So when she actually has straightened her hair, which is I can see from here, right, it will give a kind of like a messy kind of what we call that looks, okay, on those formations of the hair. So that's why you have to be careful with it. You have to understand basically, okay, the type of the hair that you are going to draw at the same time when you draw those strokes. That's why this drawing strokes is very powerful kind of elements that will give a little bit kind of details on your presentations, on your whole presentation of your drawings there, but not making too messy there, okay? Because when I actually drew those kind of cross etchings here right now, right? When I do those cross etchings, I actually apply the formation of those etchings according to the strokes of those hair. But I mix it up around, but I'm using only 1 and 2 kind of directions there. If I want to mix them around, okay, in different kind of strokes, I will have to make sure I will mix them around in different kind of areas there. See? Yeah. So when I close basically this, not close this one, when I actually combine all this kind of what we call that drawings over here, this is one there, right? You can see some of the details there, but sometimes you cannot see basically those what we call that out of order of those shadows there anymore, okay, from here. But of course, okay, from this drawing line and strokes over here that we try to apply that, okay, we can still apply also some, sorry, that right. Okay, so we can actually apply basically some highlights there, okay, because in illustrations, it's really important for you to add some highlight at the same time there, right? I think I can saw basically this one basically has to be add a bit right here, there, right? Then we actually have that kind of the right kind of positions back again. If you don't actually have that kind of understanding, guys, you won't be able to adjust or repair back again and improvise basically your kind of understanding when you want to draw and when you want to complete your works there, right? Basically what I do basically right now, right? I try to mix that around all this element all together there, okay? But still works there, right? It works basically, okay, to develop basically my kind of understanding according to those kind of reference that I actually try to draw right here, there, right? Even though we're not actually focused entirely on her portrait there, okay? But still get a closer kind of look there. If I want to make a bit more further details, okay, what I can do basically, okay, I can use soft brushes, adjust the flow back again, adjust the tone, all right? So what I can do from here, I can add kind of shadows there, okay? Add a bit kind of details there from this reference. Right? So of course, okay, between drawings and the real photos, okay, in order to develop the kind of understanding there, there has to be a bit kind of different shades there. So don't try to, what I say before that, okay, I never basically try to draw as close that I not try to draw basically her portrait, but it will came naturally as we actually go on to develop and try to develop the kind of understanding here between our reference when we try to study them back, okay? And now we use erasers here, right? Let this erasers over here, the shadows line. Okay, basically I can see the highlights over here, right? Okay, so I'm going to reduce the size a bit, show a bit kind of detail there on the highlight there, right? See, all these kind of major details there, okay? People who actually don't study, okay, those kind of what we call that design, they won't actually understand, okay? But why? But I actually can actually using this kind of what we call that references, study back again those kind of detailing here. Oops, too much there. I reduce the flows using the soft brushes there again. Right, for erase those kind of areas that I want again. This part basically. So to make it those kind of drawings become a bit more realistic, okay, as the photos there, if you push yourself further, okay, it's really hard there, okay, but if you let loose a little bit, at the same time you let basically those kind of what we call that flows of understanding go through with your kind of lessons there, okay, during the process of learning, you will get basically that kind of understanding in time there, okay, slowly that works on it, but be patient, okay, try to be patient a little bit, that works on that. I basically rarely basically going to draw or add some of the details of my illustrations anymore, okay? Unless basically I have this kind of lessons like this there. Why? Because you know, my kind of what we call the way of working is quite different nowadays there. But I still can develop basically that kind of what we call that understanding. One of the reasons is because of the core, what we call the foundations that actually have developed for so many years. That's why I give you guys all these information back again and try to, what we call that, give you guys also some knowledge there, okay? Which is, if you guys can follow standard, okay, it will be beneficial for you. Okay, see, I say I want to draw those, what we call, there's some details over here. Not basically the Adam's apple, but the shadows there, right? Draw Adam apples, these women become a man there. So the shadings of the shadows, same times, try to apply them back. And a bit kind of detailing later on if you want to draw those kind of shadows from those shirts there, right? Shirts over here can be applied there, right? Okay. Slowly, but don't shows a bit more sloppy kind of shadows. It's just the size all the time that works on that. Okay. So I didn't focus on those details there, okay? But as far as I study basically on the shadows itself, they will give those kind of natural kind of understanding there, okay? On our reference when we start to draw more and more from there. All right. So that's it, guys. Okay, this is basically the thing that I want you guys to experience there. All right. Not only to measure them only there, okay, but whatever that you're going to do and when you present the work to, okay, make sure you try to develop that kind of understanding there. It's not all about how much detailing that you want to add, but how far you guys can actually develop that kind of understanding when you develop the kind of structures line in order to develop the skill from this particular kind of what we call the process of learning experience. Okay, learning experience over here. Okay, any questions? Any questions, guys? I will save these files there first. Any questions? Same with the reference there. You can apply those bones if you want to there, right? Yes, and I'm using Ultimate Inking brush there, right? Okay, it works on that. Yes, the thing that I actually show right now, Jincheng, okay, you draw them back. All right. If you have done a few kind of details, you don't have to submit second times on. We can submit the whole thing in week 10, okay. Basically, for this week, right, okay, you can actually start to develop kind of what we call that. You can study basically the structure there first, study, basically you can draw those eyes, nose, lips back again in better kind of proportions. All right, you can actually draw some shadings and shadows if you want to. Okay, based on my sample itself, okay, you guys can actually apply that. Okay, you don't have to draw this one, right? This one only for some sort of like your kind of guide, okay, what you can gain from this exercise and these assignments there. Okay, okay, Incheng, don't get confused there. Okay, basically everything that we going to apply will I've been basically been share with you guys over here. All right, you just actually have to either follow and you can actually add more kind of detailing and values from there. Okay, so don't worry there, guys. Okay, whether any kind of detail will do there. Okay, as long as you actually have developed a kind of understanding from the process of learning all these kind of subject matters there at the same time there, right? So draw animals with the basic structures there. Even to add some bones, go ahead there, right? Okay, to make sure that you actually understand about the postures there. Okay, it can be, right? But it's not too details there, guys. Not too details there, right? Okay, I don't want you guys to study a little bit more further from there. If you don't have those kind of ability, it's good for you guys to practice your stroke first. Okay, the drawing strokes. Understand the measurement between front view and also the back view of those animals there, of those shapes there itself. Okay, because some people just simply draw them. Okay, just like Alvin made mistake just now. Okay, thank you, Alvin, for sharing that. Right. When you draw them, you don't look carefully there. Okay, that's basically the most important thing. Look carefully when you draw them. Simple kind of elements that you should actually be aware when you draw. Also, you can actually focus, pay attention there, right? How actually you're going to draw those kind of skull, skeleton, and structures there. Suppose when you draw the structures, they will trick your awareness to add some details there. But when you don't actually have that kind of awareness while you draw, what basically you see in your eyes there, and try to capture the right and keep those information in your head. What basically you do there, right? You just simply draw them randomly without paying attention on those kind of details, which is I actually show you guys just now, to ask back again. And of course, okay, you're not actually going to be understand, right? Okay, if you just look into my demo and you don't seek for more information there, right? Okay, remember that, because nowadays we have a lot of information on Google and the books that actually share to you guys that can be used as a part of your gaining those informations more and more in the learning experience there. That's why I give you guys a lot of examples from there. Okay, all right. Any questions? Any questions then? If there are any questions, thank you very much, guys. Okay, and all the best. Good luck, and keep on sharing there. Okay, this week submit according to what we actually have been showing you guys there. You have to add some details. Go ahead there, guys. Okay, I think you have more time there. Okay, if you can submit details, that means you have more time to focus on your kind of illustrations there. All right, but make sure you gain enough kind of information while you draw. Don't just simply draw them without understand to work. Okay, but some of you guys, I saw basically the shadows and shadings too messy and too sloppy there. Okay, practice also the shadings at the same time. Okay, all right, thank you very much. Have a nice day and have a good weekend. See you guys in the sessions on that. Yes,
I still have Coco.
okay,
Yeah.
Thank you very much then.
Okay, I'm late. Okay, thank you.
All right, okay, bye bye.